Hello and welcome to Living with Mary J. So happy you're here today. And today we have a dynamic conversation or discussion. We're going to talk about raising teenagers. I have two teenage daughters. They're so beautiful. And sometimes it's just that I'm wondering if I'm doing the right thing with them because we seem so different. And I was wondering if I'm having this problem or this concern with them, with myself, with my daughters, that other people may have this same concern. But I think raising teenagers is a little bit challenging, but it should be such a joyous time in our life. So let's talk about that today, okay? So stay where you are, and I'll be right back. Hello, and welcome back to Living with Mary J. We are talking about raising teenagers. And some of us may have teenage daughters or teenage sons. Fortunately, I have two teenage daughters, and then I have a preteen son. He's beginning to have some of those teenage qualities that we see that sometimes we are, I don't want to say that we're frightened of our teenagers or their characteristics, and sometimes we're even puzzled by them. But as I said in the opening, that raising a teenager should be like one of the most joyous times of our lives with them. And I really do mean that. I remember when I used to say that when my kids were in those, I remember my girls when they were wearing, and I think of them sometimes in the clothes that they're wearing and the sizes. When they were wearing sizes 6X through 10, that was like the perfect size for them. And it seems like once they went into the teenage or the junior size, when they were really teenagers, that's when I started having, and I don't want to say issues, but there were some concerns. It seems as though they changed. My little girls that were wearing size 6X to 10, when it was so easy to dress them and cute little things, I could buy them things, buy them an outfit, and they wouldn't say anything, just, oh, thank you, Mom. But once they turned to be a teenager, it was like, oh, I don't like this. Did you have to get this? Take it back. Or I would buy some things and I find it in the back of the closet or down on the floor. They just didn't really appreciate it. And I started to realize that they had changed right in my household, right before my eyes. They had changed. And it was kind of puzzling to me at first. I remember going to school and I was talking to one of my daughter's teachers about it. I was questioning her. I said, you know, my little girl has changed. And the teacher was smiling at me and she was like, yes, your little daughter has changed. She's a teenager now, Mom, and things are a little bit different. So needless to say, yes, I had to realize that my daughters had changed. And with that, I had to change too. I had to come at them a little bit differently than what I did when they were much younger, because their minds, they were growing and their minds had advanced a little bit. And when we're raising teenagers, we got to be really, really careful about it because it's such a delicate time in their life. They're trying to really sort out things, trying to find out who they are, what they should be. They're approached by others, meaning there's a lot of peer pressure, not only from peers, but sometimes adults. What I found out from one of my daughters, the oldest one now, is that sometimes adults put pressure on kids and they just don't know how to answer a question or if they're saying things the right way, if they should appear more knowledgeable about the question. And the reason I'm saying this is, remember, when my daughter was telling me about college, she said that when adults would ask her, where are you going to go to college and what's your future plans? She said she had those plans, but when she related those to some adults, it seemed she would be watching in their eyes and it seemed as though they were staring through her and just kind of made her feel a little bit uncomfortable at the time. So even though she had high self-esteem, it still was just an issue. So not only can peers make teens feel a little uncomfortable, sometimes adults do too. So we as parents, we have to be aware of all of that, and pretty much we have to know our teen. So I realized that it's such a it is a big, big topic, raising teens. So I'll try to break this up and maybe I'll do another show on this. Pretty much I will. But right now, today, we're just going to talk about just some of the basics. Now, this brings me to mind that when I was a teenager, I did several things, and sometimes I thought that my mom or my dad just didn't have the right answer. And so sometimes I would go to some of my classmates or my other teenage friends for answers. And that's something we do not want to do. We don't want our teenage child seeking help from another teenager. Would that teenager be more qualified than you? I don't think so. So we need to have an open door with our teenager so that our teenager can come to us. Now, when our teenager comes to us, we've got to be prepared. And that's what I really want to talk to you about in this first part, is that we need to make sure that we're prepared for our teenager to come to us. So we have to be positive. We have to surround ourselves with positiveness. And we can't be negative. Thinking negativity is just one of those things that a teenager can pick up immediately, and then once they pick it up, they'll shut down and they may not talk to you for a while. I've experienced this, and it's not a good place to be. For instance, my daughter was, when they first started coming out with the ragged, I don't want to say ragged, but I guess the worn looking jeans and shirts with the rips and stuff in the clothes. My daughter was in middle school. She was in 8th grade, and she wanted to wear that type of thing. Well, of course, I was like, no, you're not going to wear ripped jeans to school. I mean, why would you do that? You shouldn't do that. But see, I wasn't with the in thing. I didn't know I didn't know how to handle her with that. So I told her no. But I found out later from the principal that my daughter would go to school and she would change in the restroom and put on some ripped jeans that she had ripped herself. Now, of course, some parents will say, well, you know what? She's not going to wear ripped jeans, so I'm not even going to buy them. But teenagers are so crafty, they're so skilled, they will figure out how to do different things. So there was my daughter wearing ripped jeans at school, and she was smart to even bypass me because I was negative when she came to talk to me. So Maya Angelou says, when we know better, we do better. And so had I known better, I would have done better. Now with my middle daughter, who is now 17, if she comes to me and says she wants to wear some ripped jeans, she don't even have to say that now. I know now that that's what teens are wearing, and even some adults. Then of course I'm going to be a little bit more open. I recall when I was saying growing up, I would talk to my mom about some things, and she really just wouldn't give me the answer. And even when she was, when I lost my mom, one of the last conversations we had with each other is that she apologized to me. She said that she was sorry that she didn't do all that she should have done for me, or said all that she should have said to me, that she was just trying to do her best. And I had to comfort her, and I was touched at that moment because I guess through my teenage years and into my 20s, I had kind of blamed her because I thought that she should have talked to me more. She should have told me about boys, which she did. She just kind of like, I think I told you guys in an earlier show, it was some things that my mother just did not talk to me about, especially in the teenage years. She just didn't talk to me about the boys. If anything, my daddy said, don't let boys touch you. And that was it. And so I didn't know about boys. I didn't know about dating. I just didn't know about a lot of things. So it's so important to talk to your teens. And well, all your children, but basically since I'm talking about teenagers, it is so important to do that. So if my mother, which is in the case, didn't talk to me about this, you know who I talked to? I talked to my teenage friends at school. And I got some really, really bad information. And so now I want to make sure that I talk to my daughters about things. And that's what you want to do. You want to keep that open line of communication open. And you want to make sure that you're positive. So when your daughter is bringing home this new boyfriend, or telling you that she's interested in someone and you really don't like this person, and you think that your daughter is so far beyond this person, then you got to be positive. Keep your mind open, because they do not want to hear negative things. So be very creative in that, okay? Now, and as I said, get yourself, if you think that you're a negative person, then you need to work on yourself before you can work on someone else. And the main thing is making sure you're positive. So you're going to have to, if you're around negative things in your life, You need to shed that. Stop watching the news so much because there's a whole lot of negativity things in the news. My oldest daughter, who's in college, sometimes I'm so afraid for her. And then I've realized that I'm so afraid for her because I'm hearing all this negative things on the news. I'm hearing how girls are abducted or how they're raped or taken advantage of. So, of course, like any other mother, I'm concerned with her. So this heavy amount of concern that I have, and negative in a way, I'm putting that on her. And you don't want to do that with your teens. You want to make sure that you're at a positive state. So when the teen comes to talk to you, you can be more positive. Okay? So that will work out. And then the next thing we want to do is that when they're talking to you and then you're very positive, you want to make sure that you've equipped your teen to have this high self-esteem. That is one of the main concerns. You know, I was reading the other day in this magazine, and it had this article from Jason Foundation, and it came up with this statistic and was really alarming to me. It said in this nation, over 3,470 people, young teens between, if there's, 9th through 12th grade, which are teenagers. So I imagine 14 through 17, possibly 18. 3,470 of them attempt suicide a year. When I read that, that is a staggering amount of teens who are unhappy about something. Now, it can be about anything, and my heart goes out to anybody who has to do that, has to deal with a kid, a teenager or a child who has attempted suicide. My heart goes out to them. I have to say that first. I'm so sorry. But I imagine, and I'm sure some parents have tried to talk to the kids, tried to really get through to them, and still this tragedy happened. But I'm talking about the other side of the spectrum. The kids who have tried to talk to their parents, but they just couldn't get through, and so the kids shut down. They shut down the conversation. And that's something that we don't want. We do not want our child to shut down the conversation. It's happened to me. I can't even tell you the unlimited amount of times that my daughters have said, "Oh, it's okay, Mom, it's nothing." Believe me, when they say it's nothing and it's okay, it is something. So they have to be able to come to you. You've got to keep that open door of communication. It has to be open. They have to come to you. You've got to do something because the statistics are so high, and we've got to watch them. As I said, it's such a sensitive time in their life. These teen years, they're coming with all kind of things are coming at them. It is so important. Now, you want to, as I said, want to listen to their problems. You want to be positive. You want to spend time with them. My son, who is a preteen, and I think he's mature. I think I want to call him a teenager. Just this past Saturday, we spent some time together, and we were watching a movie, and I didn't even know he liked the movie. And now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think he really liked the movie. He liked that little special moment that we were sharing. So it was just he and I. We were sitting on the sofa, and we were watching this movie, and I kind of thought it was a girly movie. And he probably would be upset with me saying this, but hey, it wasn't a girly movie because there were some football players in it, so it wasn't all of that. So it's okay. So we were watching the movie there, and we were just really enjoying the moment, and he was enjoying the moment. And it was just this precious moment in time. He was laying back on the sofa, and he had his feet propped up on me, just kind of leaned up on me. And my husband walked in and was like, "Why does he have his feet propped on you?" And I was like, "Just stay out of this." It was just, it was okay that it was just we were bonding, and it was okay for him to have his feet propped on me because I want that. And that's what we want to have with our teens. We want to have that special moment in their world, in their space, bring it all together, connecting with you, where they can feel comfortable with you. So definitely, you want to make sure that you spend time with your teenager, and you want to listen to them, okay? You want to listen to all of their problems, all of their concerns. Now, going also back to one of my daughters is this, you want to be aware of how they're feeling. This is kind of funny. My daughter, when she texts me, sometimes I'll tell her things, and she'll reply with just the letter K. That's it. And of course, she texted me back one time, and I wrote, it was okay to me, and I put K. Boy, when I got home, she was upset. And I was like, she asked me, why did you put K on my text? Why did you reply K? And I told her, I said, well, you reply K on your text to me, back to me. I thought it was okay. I thought I was being kind of hip. And then she was like, Mom, no, you don't do that. I don't think that, I feel as though when you reply K that you're too busy to write okay. She said, you're too busy to write OKAY. And you're just kind of pushing me off. And I was like, no, baby, that's not it. I was just doing it, because that's how you reply to me. So they're very sensitive little creatures, I want to say. They're very sensitive, and they're watching us. They're watching what we're doing. So from that point on, I made it a point, being that she thought it enough to talk to me about it, I received it. So now whenever she texts me something, and it's okay, I make sure that I spell out the word okay, because that's how she wants to receive it. And I make sure I put a little emoji there too, with a little heart, because those are some of the things that she looks forward to. So we really want to just make sure that we are comfortable. We want to spend time with our kids. We want to be positive. We want to meet them in their space, because if we don't do that, then someone else is going to do it. And in some cases, if someone else is not doing it, they're raising themselves. And we don't want our kids to ever, or our teenagers to feel as though they're raising themselves. After all, they're just teenagers and we're the adults. So there never should be at a point where they feel as though they have to be the parent. The other day at school, I was talking to this, I have this student, and this little discipline problem, and I was talking to his mom, and his mom was like, I don't know what to do. And she was like, she gave me a response. It just floored me. I just couldn't believe that she was saying. She just said, well, when I come home, I just kind of go in my room and I shut the door. And he's left just there wondering what I'm thinking. And I was like, oh, that communication, where is it? What is this young man feeling if his mother goes in her bedroom and shut the door? She's totally shutting him out. So in this case, he's free to do whatever he feels like he wants to do. At this moment, he's raising himself. And as a teacher of this student, and I love all of my students, I'm going to put that out there. I love all of my students. But at this point, I would have to say he's not doing a very good job raising himself. So if we don't raise our kids, then they're raising themselves. So guys, stay right there. I'll be right back. Let's take a little break. Hi, and welcome back. We are discussing raising teenagers, and as I said, this is like a very broad topic. So today I'm touching on just a couple of things. I want to mention also that when you're raising kids, or teenagers, I should say, you need to make sure that you have some expectations of them. Believe it or not, teenagers, here it is, I'm tied up in between being a teacher as well. They love expectations. They need to know what you expect from them. And then they need to know that they've met those expectations. I mean, come on. We were all kids ourselves, and we were all teenagers. And didn't we love to hear our parents say, oh, I'm proud of you. You did a great job on that. So, I mean, that positive feedback is so good. And our teenagers, they want that feedback too. So set some expectations. On a school level, of course, your teenager is in school. So when they're taking certain classes, show some interest in that class. Communicate with the teacher. Let them know that you're talking to the teacher, not literally talk, and you can send the teacher some emails. Be on their Remind, or be on whatever program the teacher has in which way you could communicate with the teacher. Students actually love that. I've had students that will come to me and say, hey, did you talk to my mom? Did you let her know that I did this? Did you let her know I did that? And they want positive things given to them. So give your child some expectations. I expect you to do well in school. If your teenager goes out on a date, then limit the time that student or that teenager should be back. Say, I'm expecting you to be back at 12:30. I'm expecting you to uphold all of the rules that I've given you. So they need those expectations so that they can meet these expectations. Okay? That is so important. And now the other thing that it goes with expectations as well, is that we need to teach our children some life skills. Because once they have these life skills, then they can feel a sense of accomplishment. But if you never teach your teen anything, then they don't have anything to work towards. For instance, my daughter, one of them in particular, she likes to cook. So I taught her the skill of cooking. So she can cook a pound cake, she can cook, different things, cookies, and lately she's been cooking meals, dinner for me, which works really well coming home from work. Dinner is waiting on me. Just yesterday she had this enchilada waiting for me when I got home with some vegetables on the side. So that is a life skill. That's a skill that I've taught her so that when she grows up, then she'll know how to do it. And then she feels very accomplished with that. So we have to equip our children with some skills that it will help build their self-esteem. You just won't know how much it does. When I came home on yesterday, my daughter had this meal waiting on me. It was delicious. It was perfect. Matter of fact, I actually thought that she had gone to the Mexican restaurant and picked it up. It was that good. So I complimented her on it, and she felt so good inside. And so the other thing that we need to do is when they do something like that, present their life skills that they've learned from you, you need to let them look back and feel proud of what they've accomplished. And so what I did is I put the items on my plate, I fixed it really nice, and I was like, look baby, look what you've done. Look at this meal. And she looked at it for a second and she says, oh, let me take a picture of this. So she took a picture of it and she put it on her social media and was like, look what I've done. So that kind of helped her a little bit more building her self-esteem. So we want to do that. It's something that small is able to help them. So we want to give them expectations. If they don't know what you expect, then they don't know what to expect themselves. So that's one of the keys. You have to give students, teenagers, some expectations. Now the other thing before we go, and like I said, there's so much to talk on this, is that you want to give the teenager some responsibility. That is a must. You have to do that. Let them be responsible for cleaning their own room. Let them cook dinner a certain night. I mean, after all, there's 7 days in a week. So give your child maybe one night of the week to cook dinner and say, this night is, I don't care what it is, but you prepare dinner for this night. And that is some sense of responsibility. And then you may want them to prepare their own clothes for the week or something, wash laundry. But they have to have some type of responsibility. It is so important. And that helps build their self-esteem. And when you help build healthy students, teenager self-esteem, then they're wonderful people. They really are. So let's recap on some things. In raising your teenager, a healthy, a happy teenager, is that one, when you come to your teenager, you want to be positive. So that means you have to work on yourself. You have to be the most positive person that there is. The teenager has to feel comfortable with you, okay? And when to feel comfortable, they have to be around a positive environment. Because if you're not positive, I guarantee you, you're going to lose your teen and they're not going to come talk to you that time nor any other time. It's going to be hard to get them back. So always be positive. Next, we want to spend time with our teenager. With things going on so busy, the world is just so fast-paced. I knew this one father, that I'm going to just tell you this really quickly. He had his son doing something every day of the week. If you do something every day of the week, spending 90% of your time with someone else, when would you have time to spend time with your parent or your child? So that doesn't make sense. Spend quality time with your child. It is so important. Give them expectations. Not just low expectations, high expectations. Set that bar up really high. Okay, that's really good. Give them responsibilities. They love responsibilities. No matter how much they fight you, they want some responsibilities. If you do these little steps that I'm telling you about, if you work on this, you will have a healthy and happy teenager. In return, your life will be joyous. After all, the teen years should be fun and should be full of joy for the teenager as well as the parents. Because remember, the teenagers are a gift to us from God. Okay? They're a gift to us from God. It's not like we just kind of pulled them from the sky. They come to us from God, and they're not property, so we can't treat them any type of way. We've got to be gentle, we have to be understanding, we have to be loving, we have to be kind, and we have to give them some of our precious time. If you do some of these things, and it's a lot of things that I've just told you to do, and we're going to have some more on this discussion on raising teenagers. Just hold up and wait, okay? We'll have another show on this. If you do these things, you're going to be just fine. And I feel like I'm going to be fine because I think I have a good relationship with my daughters. So I'm glad that you're here today with me, and I know that everything is just going to be fine. My kids I think they're really happy. I get reports from other people that they're wonderful teenagers. Someone told me I should write a book. My best friend said, write a book on this. And I think I will one day. So you guys let me know how you feel about this. I'd love to hear from you, okay? This is Living with Mary J, and I'm so glad that you're here today.